Hello, welcome to the RC Block. I'm Jamie Nitro, and thank you for tuning in. Tonight, I'm going to be talking all about the Toyen L400 gasoline engine. I'm going to go through my setup that I've done here to make this engine run really nice and give you guys some tips and tricks to get your engine run like this too. So stay tuned and let's get into it. Now on the Toyen L400 here, I had a comment from a guy, Mr. Mark Bird, who was asking about how to set up the whole ignition system and just get everything ready for starting up the engine. So I'm going to do that right now for him and for everybody else. So what he had mentioned was talking about where all these little wires go. So this is your little CDI unit, and one thing I should explain, on the back of this unit it says it can handle up to 15 volts. You don't want to put nearly that much voltage to it. I'm using a voltage regulator and I have this set at 11 volts, and that is going from my battery to the CDI box, and that'll be your red connector out of this little white connector that plugs into it. So this little white connector will plug into the CDI box. This will be your main battery lead, the little red guy. Then you're going to have these black, red, and white wires are going to be connected to a little that's going to get connected to this guy right here. Now, this connection is what goes to your sensor from the distributor here, and that is what's going to tell the CDI box unit when to spark the spark plug. So one of the things that I got to say though, before I get into any more of this, you want to make sure that you keep this sensor wire away from any type of metal contact points of the engine, or any of these high voltage leads of the distributor, because you don't want any of the spark to leak from the main high voltage wires to your sensor and burn it out. So remember that one. Also, if you notice, none of my high voltage leads are touching any part of the engine, and in actuality when I have this running, I make sure to have my sensor wire completely isolated, the one going to the distributor, completely isolated from all other wires, and this has prevented me from burning out any sensors. The high voltage lead here from the CDI box is also not touching the sensor. It's okay if it touches the power wire, that's not important. It'll burn out your sensor very quickly. Now the other lead that comes from this white plug is your ground lead, and on this engine what they've done is made a little point right next to your manifold here, very close to your spark plugs, and they made a little point that's all cleaned up, and it's perfect spot for you to mount the little ground eyelet, the black wire. Now some guys, including myself, will sometimes mount this ground right to the header, one of the header bolts, but in the case of this engine they already give you a nice spot, so you don't have to try and find it anywhere. It's right here next to the manifold. Okay, let's talk distributor setup. On the distributor here, I have it set so that, you see this line right here? There's this little line kind of shows up on the, it's just above the distributor here. On this line, I actually have that little line there is set to the center of this screw. Okay, so you can set it to that point there, and the top of the distributor looks level to the top of the valve cover. So that's what I have set to get it started. I find that if you go too far up this part here, it's just too much. You want to stay in the middle here is where you're going to get your best running results, but you go ahead and play around with that and see where you like it the most. Now I've gone through everything here except for the carburetor. And also this is a big thing to mention on this engine, and actually any Toyen engine that I've ever built with a water pump. You want to make sure that this water pump is moving freely. It's down here, and you want this water pump to be able to move freely. You should be able to move it with your finger with no problem without the belt on. If you cannot move this pump easily with your finger, that means the pump is not aligned, and you want to loosen off your water pump bolt captures, and you want to get it realigned. I put a video out, and I'll put the link in the comments below on how I did an alignment to my water pump, and that will allow the engine to rotate nicely. I've heard a lot of guys burning out their starter motors. There's even another gentleman in the place that I live here. He has the L400 and his was really stiff. I went in there and realigned his water pump, and the engine moved freely, was easy to turn over and everything. So it was just a little thing like that was putting enough resistance on the engine to prevent it from starting and even burning out your starter. Or you might get it started if you have the throttle up, but as soon as you put the throttle down, the engine would die immediately. So those are all symptoms that your water pump is too tight. Look for that and realign it, and your engine will run better for you. Now I've gone on AliExpress here, and my spring just popped off. I went on AliExpress and I got the center 4-to-1 intake manifold, and the original manifold was pretty cool and all, but I wanted to go with something a little different here. Now I got the carburetor here. So about the noise. So there's the original manifold there, and as you can see, it goes on the end. And in my belief, I always felt like the #1 cylinder was maybe starving a little bit more than the rest of them. So I wanted to get it more evened out here, and I really like how this thing has been running. I'm also running a different carburetor from your factory one. So let's go over the factory settings on the factory carburetor, because I know that's what you guys are running. With my carburetor, I had the high-speed needle, which is the silver one here. I had this one, I think it was about 3.5 turns, but it was just past this, past being flush with this outer sleeve here. So that's where my high-speed needle setting is. Then my low-speed needle, I have that set at 1.5 turns out from in. And then on my idle here, which that's one of the first things you got to adjust. You got to adjust your idle first. Set your idle. I have it set at 1.3 millimeters. So not quite as high as the 1.5, which makes it rev too high for me. Mine was set at 1.3 millimeters. And try that and see if that helps or if that gets you started. I live up in Canada, so if you're anywhere in like America or Canada, you should get it running with these settings or be pretty close. If you have any other questions, please leave your comments down below, and as always, I'd love to hear from you guys. And for now, good luck on your next build. Bye for now.